What are some of the dumbest rules you had in school? In middle school, we weren't allowed to walk in groups bigger than 4. The school considered any groups exceeding 4 people was a sign of being gang-related. We would literally have to split up my group and walk a reasonable distance behind each other so we wouldn't get in trouble. Mind you, we were 12-year-old girls who were still sporting glitter princess shirts, straight face. Also, we couldn't wear the colors black and pink together, blue and yellow together, and black and silver together. There was probably more, just can't remember. Once again, it was considered gang-related. Anyone who didn't abide by the rules would have to change into a PE shirt. Definitely don't miss middle school. My elementary school bought a traffic light for the cafeteria, but it wasn't an ordinary traffic light. It would sense how loud we were, and the louder we got, the light would change from green to yellow. And if we were loud enough, it went red. And if it went red, it made this really loud buzzing sound. When the traffic light went off, a teacher would turn off the lights in the cafeteria, and we all had to eat in complete silence until lunch was over. The biggest problem with this was the traffic light was really sensitive and went off really easy, so my elementary school lunches were always silent. I was in high school when the Columbine thing happened. A day or two later, our admin made a rule that no one was allowed to wear trench coats because the shooters had referred to their group of friends as the Trench Coat Mafia. Needless to say, a crap load of people showed up the next day wearing trench coats in every color of the rainbow, and the rule was immediately dropped. I was in high school when the Columbine thing happened. Same here, in Colorado no less. I owned a duster, like a trench coat, and wore it after the shooting. Had one of the hall monitors tell me I couldn't wear it, so I asked him to show me where in the dress code it said no long coat /duster/trenches. He couldn't, they left me alone. To be fair, I was later kicked out for having a knife in my duster, so they may have had a point. In grade school, if the principal or other authority figure entered our classroom, we had to immediately stand up and greet them. Good morning/afternoon, with a bow, boys, or curtsy, girls. Catholic school, U.S., 1970 S80s. My husband, public school, 1960 S70s. Was incredulous when I told him about that rule. Edit, it was the curtsy that got me. Sort of relevant. In my last year of high school, my friends and I really got into poker. We had the chips and played all the time when we weren't in class. Soon our head teacher banned the chips because it gave out the wrong impression to parents passing by. So to sort this, we started playing with real money. Way to go, sir. In elementary school, I got in trouble on several occasions because too many kids were playing tag together. Not even violent tag or tag on the blacktop where we couldn't run. Just normal freeze tag on the grass where the recess aides could supervise. We also had the stop light that detected noise in our very acoustic cafeteria. If it got too loud from the kids talking to each other while we had team, it would turn red and we'd lose our recess and not be allowed to talk for the rest of eating time. In high school, I was told I couldn't take sign language because my English grade was too high. There was extra room in the class, and I really wanted to learn sign language. My middle school banned chewing gum, which naturally led to an underground black market gum trade. It's kind of hilarious in retrospect. People would use sticks of gum as currency. I'll trade you a stick of gum for your fancy eraser or whatever, pass it off in the halls nonchalantly to avoid attention, etc. In middle school, we aren't allowed to chew gum and PDA regardless of the gender. Hugging was banned, and it was strictly enforced. In high school, we are allowed to use our phones during lunch, but we aren't allowed to make phone calls. Also, parents weren't allowed to drop off items for their kids. For an example, if Kuchers left their PE clothes at home, Kucher's mom had to meet them at the gate and slid their clothes through. On Halloween, we were allowed to get dressed up in high school. We also had themed pep rallies where we had to get dressed up. It was an all-girls private school, and yet my Nazi principal had a rule that we couldn't show our shoulders and couldn't wear ripped jeans. This proved difficult to a few Halloween costumes. But it was especially ridiculous that when my class got an 80s theme for the pep rally, we couldn't wear one of the biggest trends off-the-shoulder sweaters in a jazzercise kind of way. We did anyways and got attention. Oh, and senior pranks had to be approved. We really could only do something fun with our hair minus dyeing it or wear fun colored knee-high socks. I went to school in a bad area, like actual gang and kids bringing guns to school bad. One afternoon, there was a huge fight between an Asian gang and a black gang. The school instituted a rule that students couldn't gather around in groups of more than 3 kids. It was essentially unenforceable, but it was still a rule on the books. Our kids went to middle school for 3 years and couldn't bring any peanut products whatsoever to school. No crackers, no P, B, and J, nothing. One kid had a peanut allergy, so they banned the entire school from enjoying peanut butter goodness for 3 years. Didn't make sense to isolate the kid from the people actually eating peanut products. This was in high school for me. After a few fights in the cafeteria, we weren't allowed to stand up during lunch. You had to stay seated unless you were getting your lunch, throwing away trash, etc. And even then, you'd still probably get yelled at. Then after that, you couldn't sit on the benches in the cafeteria, only at the tables. Very good at making me look like even more of a loner. Fights still happened. I'm glad I was a senior when this all went down. I wouldn't be able to last an entire year of that. No walking on the grass between classes. You had to stay on the pads if you were trying to get to a class, but if it was a break, you could sit on the grass. Also, the blazer is the correct outer garment, meaning if you were cold, you had to put on your blazer. If you were really cold, you could take off your blazer, put on your jumper, and then layer the blazer on top. Just the jumper was not allowed. My high school banned zeros. No student was to be given a 0 on an assignment, regardless of whether they bothered to even hand it in or not. It counts as an incomplete assignment and is not used toward your final grade. Recently, a former physics teacher of mine declined to follow this rule. He was fired and pretty much not allowed to teach anymore. He appealed to the school board, changed the rule, and got the idiot principal fired for being a shit in several ways. So, could a student hypothetically do one really good assignment and then just never hand in anything else, resulting in incompletes which wouldn't bring down their grade? Not really a ridiculous rule, but the head of my house in high school used to come out of her office at 5 to 9 o'clock and tell all the kids to get off to home group. I'd stand there in the middle of the quad like your run-of-the-mill, defiant smartass. When she inevitably came to me, I'd retort that the student diary, Bible, clearly states that students are afforded 2 minutes after 9 o'clock to get to home group in the morning. Most mornings she couldn't be stuffed arguing with me and just continued on. But one morning, in front of some amused year 7s, she said, "Okay, G, you find me exactly where it says that and I expect it on my desk." So I highlighted it in my diary and left it on her desk. The next year the rule was gone. Teachers being able to check the length of my shorts in school by measuring with their fingers the length from the butt to my shorts. I would get stopped in the halls or even in the beginnings of classes. Always felt really inappropriate and degrading to me. I was at maximum height in 8th grade, so my shorts always looked short. My school during grades 8 to 10 was a religious private school, and we had some fun ones. No school dances under any circumstances. Males and females were not permitted to fraternize in any way outside of a teacher's eyesight. Students weren't permitted to get closer than 6 inches to any other student. Cussing resulted in suspension. My personal favorite was our school had a program of work where we went at our own pace and did lessons on computers. But even if we were finished early for that day, we couldn't leave before 3:15. So often I just end up doing lessons for the next few days and do nothing the next day. Oh, and one I just remembered, mandatory sex shaming class with an, not an exaggeration, 85-year-old man as our teacher. All the memories. My brother's GF goes to an all-girls Christian college in Arkansas. If a man is in the room, he is in charge. The authority even outranks teachers. If the teacher is female and a guy enters the room, he is the only one allowed to speak. Knees must be together at all times. Not a euphemism. And there are more that I forgot. Some of the most archaic shit ever. No going to the bathroom unless it was end/beginning of class time. This was elementary school, by the way. They would allow children to go to the bathroom at recess time too, I suppose. But if you did have to disrupt class by needing to go to the bathroom, you had to spend recess sitting on a log next to the playground monitor. As a person with a small bladder, I didn't get to play much at recess. Had this rule in kindergarten. Teacher wouldn't let me go to the bathroom. Pee my pants in the group circle while sitting on our carpet squares. I will never forget the puddle expanding past my carpet as I burst out crying. Private and religious high school. We had a uniform, dress pants with a collared shirt. Then they started Sport Fridays. On game days, aka Fridays, you would wear jeans for $2 and a t-shirt/sweatshirt from the school for another $2. So you had the entire school rushing to buy $25 t-shirts and $40 sweatshirts, only to pay $4 every Friday to wear those with their favorite jeans. It was nothing but a pathetic money grab by an already expensive school. In middle school, my friend got the idea to put sticky notes all over the school, sticky notes that say Walrus. The teachers were getting pissed, and everyone thought that was funny, so we kept memeing it up. One day my friend was walking down a near-empty hall and loudly said Walrus for his own amusement and got detention for sexual harassment of a girl all the way down the hall. We were not allowed to wear clothing with patterns/logos on it, solid colors only. Along with this, we were not allowed to carry backpacks around the school. Also, is it normal for school rules to apply during summer vacations? I've never heard of such a rule until I got suspended for something that happened during the summer season. You were only allowed to wear tank tops if the shoulder straps on them were at least 1 inch wide. No other restrictions on them were made, just the width of the shoulder straps. Because showing that extra centimeter at the top of your shoulders would surely cross the line from acceptable to downright obscene. A mandatory pep rally you have to pay to attend. Let that sink in. Yes, it was a private school. It was a 2-hour event with juice and cookies, the school band played, etc. It was $5 per student. It was nothing but a pathetic money grab by the already overpriced school. I was one of like 4 kids who refused to pay. We were sent to the cafeteria and had to sit in silence while we did our homework, read, etc. I had a principal that attempted to institute a rule that would require students to stand with their backs against the wall, should the principal happen to walk down the hall. He seriously wanted us to stop what we were doing and press ourselves up against the wall, so he could sweep down the hall like some Victorian lord of the manor. This didn't go over well, as the students adopted a he can't suspend all of us attitude, and within a day or two, no one was bothering to obey the rule. Tardy hall. If you are late to first period, instead of getting detention or whatever, you have to sit in the lunchroom for all of first period and you're not allowed to do anything but sit. So, by being late, you're forced to miss what is being taught that period. This also means that if you know you're going to be late, you might as well not go to school at all during first period and get breakfast, causing you to be at least a little bit late to second period, which then causes an ever so slight disruption in second period, which is the exact reason they have tardy hall. To try and stop class disruptions. You're late for first period, and that's a detriment to your education. Now don't go to first period at all and miss the lesson. That certainly isn't. I think this is less dumb than strange/unusual, but in primary school, the best playtime game to play was semi. It was a game played on a netball court, basically a painted, large rectangle court with a semicircle painted on each side. That semicircle was base, or safe. The goal is to run between the two and not get tagged by the kid that was it. Simple, right? Apparently not. So many kids thought up ways to cheat at that game that the rules were actually enforced by the school. I don't mean rules like don't throw kids to the ground and stamp on their face. I mean super specific kid rules like it is cheating to create a human chain from one side of the court to the other, while saying you were still in base. We had an actual full school assembly from the headmaster to go through this. TLDR, my childhood was dominated by a colloquialism for a half-erect penis that was enforced by my school. We aren't allowed to wear hats with brims, so the security cameras can see us. But brimmed hats with the school logo are allowed, and once you step foot in the lunchroom, you may not leave until lunch is over. But if you don't go at all, that's fine, they have people guarding the door. And in elementary school, there were arrows on the monkey bars, and if you went the wrong way, you got sent to the office. You have to buy your own recorder for music class. You have to learn to play the recorder. 25th graders playing recorder at the same time. What the actual fuck, like, are you stupid? In my second year of high school, the new principal forbade congregation in the halls. We were an over-capacity school, and the cafeteria was not designed for those numbers. So people jaywalked across a busy street to eat their lunch and smoke. She also replaced the school police officer, who had a policy of not going after drug charges unless you were caught really bad, with 3 cops that did. The original officer had this policy so kids could come to him if they were in trouble. This was not a priority of the new principal. Went to a Catholic high school. After Marilyn Manson came out, we had the rule of no band t-shirts. What I found amusing was the administration didn't care if I wore a Pearl Jam, Foo Fighters, or Stabbing Westward t-shirt. But the day I tried a chance at wear a Metallica shirt depicting a dead angel on it, they lost their minds. My middle school banned shiny pens and anything scented. The shiny pens thing was for a teacher who had migraines and claimed they were only set off by shiny pens and anything scented. The worst part is, you would get a referral to the office if you smelt too strongly of deodorant or perfume. Then you were promptly sent home. My school lunch program was weird about what it would sell a la carte. Want a thing of fries or chips? No problem. Want a side of broccoli, mashed potatoes, or a side salad? No way, that's not a complete lunch. I just wanted some broccoli one day to go with my lunch from home, only to be told, you need to buy the full lunch? Can I just pay the full $1.50, but just get broccoli with no burger and no cheese sauce? No, you need the protein and dairy. I'm a lactose-intolerant vegetarian, and I packed a lunch from home. Well, you could take a cheese stick as the alternative vegetarian protein. No thanks. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.